Hi, this is Barry J. McDonald, and I'd like to welcome you to today's blog post over at redcom.com. And today's blog post is a little longer than some of the previous ones I've done, so this video may be a little longer than what I've previously put up before, but it's just something I wanted to cover in more detail, so that's why it's a longer blog post. But today's blog post is on how to make a living writing fiction. And, there's nothing better for an author to receive, and that is money for the work that you've created, checks or bank lodgements from Amazon or Drafted Digital or Smashwords or any other website where you're self-publishing your work. It's great to get those checks coming on a monthly basis, and that people are, reading your work, enjoying it, and are gladly paying for it. So you probably want to know how to make money writing fiction, and in my case I would highly recommend anybody to self-publish their work rather than go down the traditional publishing road, because by the time you waste sending out manuscripts, finding a word back, and then maybe getting the thumbs up or thumbs down, and maybe your book doesn't suit them at that period in time, or maybe they already have a book, an author maybe that has a book maybe who's similar to yours, or maybe they feel it could be a little competition between the two, and maybe they just turn you down for reasons like that, or maybe just reasons that you're never actually going to know about. If you want to wait for those people to get back to you in the traditional publishing, people don't want to wait for them to get back to you, to give you a little pat on the head and say, fair play to you, we'll take your book from here on. You're going to be wasting a lot of time, and that's why I recommend authors should self-publish their work and, get it up and get it out straight away and start making money on it now. But just because you are self-publishing your work, there is some things you're going to have to be aware of. And that is because the self-publishing, the traditionally publishing companies, they have all different departments that take the manuscript and proofread it and edit it and, design book covers and book descriptions and do the promotion stuff. Like, all this kind of eats into any profits that maybe you could make from your book. And they take over all those things. But because you're going to be doing it on your own, it's up to you to, to bring a good book to the marketplace, something that's been well edited, has a good eye-catching book cover and, an enticing book description that's going to make people click the link and download that book. So it's up to you now to do that. And another thing then too is to find out, what's selling in the marketplace. There's no point in spending maybe days, weeks, months writing a book maybe for an audience that isn't actually there. You might have an idea for a great book, but maybe mightn't sell. Maybe you're hitting the market at the wrong time, and maybe something might happen in a few years where all of a sudden that book takes off. But for now, if you want to make money right now, it's best to look and see what's actually selling in the marketplace and kind of go along the same kind of lines of what's there. But just to be aware of that, whatever genre you're thinking of getting into, each one breaks down into subcategories. For example, like the romance category breaks down into, historical romance, contemporary, romantic comedy, new adult and college, suspense, fantasy, and military. And like, these are only the top categories that you'll find in the Kindle store. Each of those categories down, the historical one, they will probably break down into other categories. And just to be aware that even though all these are kind of under the big umbrella of romance, some of these categories sell far, far more than other ones. So you need to be aware of, when you're actually doing a little research, to see what is selling. Say, for example, if you went to the romance category and maybe you found a couple of books and you found one that was maybe based on historical romance that was selling really, really well, and then you ran with that and you said, right, I'll write a romance book on historical romance. But then you may be surprised then when maybe that book doesn't sell so well. But there could be a reason why that book maybe was riding high in the charts. It could be a strong book, maybe in a weak category, and you don't know what kind of work maybe the author might be doing in the background that you're not aware of. They could be driving sales to that book, maybe through Facebook ads or a big BookBub ad or some other promotion that you're not aware of. So if you are trying to find out what are the best-selling books in your category, pay attention to, everything that's in the category. Maybe the top 10, the top 20, and see if there is, a high ranking of all the books in that category. Are they all selling well? And just kind of niche your way down rather than writing into, a broad kind of, like I said, a romance category. Try and niche down to one of the other smaller categories, because it's easier to make a name for yourself in a smaller category than it is in, one of the larger ones. And then once you get a collection of books, so you kind of make a name for yourself in that category, then maybe you can branch out into other areas, or maybe the romance category, or whatever categories, the other subcategories that might be in your genre. So that was something to be aware of, to see how the books are selling in your category and what people are actually buying. Making money online then, what you're writing into, there's some things you also need to be aware of as a writer. Like, do you like writing in the genre that you've picked? Maybe if you don't like it, it's not a good chance that your books are actually going to sell well. I found myself that categories, genres that I've written in, I hadn't a big love for, and because of that, my work suffered from it, and the readers kind of, sense it on the other side, and that's probably why my books didn't sell so well. When there was other genres that I written in, it really took off, and that was because I really enjoyed sitting down and, writing about these characters, and my readers sensed it on the other side. And another thing then is to know the tropes involved in the genre. If you don't know what a trope is kind of, the things that a reader would expect if they're reading in a certain genre. Like, say for example, you'd never expect to find a unicorn finding its way into a historical romance, or a killer robot making its way into a fantasy novel, because you know yourself that that's not the kind of things that should be in those books, and your reader's going to be like that then too. So you need to know what kind of tropes you need to follow. Now, if you picked a genre maybe that you're not too sure of, but you'd be interested in writing in it, an easy way to find out what the tropes are is to pay attention to the book reviews in the category. Read through all the book reviews, and you're going to find people making comments on what they liked about the books and what they didn't like about the books. And then just to make a list of those then, so when it comes to writing your own book, you can, tailor your book more toward the things that they do like, and make sure to avoid the things that they don't like. And then too as well, another way to improve how much writing or how much money you can make from your fiction writing is to do your books in a series. One book kind of might light up the charts maybe for a week or two and then all of a sudden fall away. But if you have a book series, it's one thing to get the first book sold, but then it's easier to sell maybe book 2, book 3, book 4 if they're all leading off one after the other. Now whether they're whether it's prequels or sequels or whatever way you want to plot out your book, but having the books in a book series can make a big difference to how much money you make and how long you can hold on to the readers and things like that then too. So that's something to pay attention to. And then making money from your fiction writing online, you've probably got your manuscript, you're ready to go, maybe it's proofread and stuff like that, but if you haven't got all those things, like I said earlier, you need to stand side by side with the traditional publishers on the shelf. If your book stands out in any way and looks kind of unprofessional and maybe amateurish and, self-published, if it has that kind of a feel to it, you're going to find a lot of readers who are just going to bypass your work and move on to somebody else who looks more professional looking. So it's up to you to kind of package your book in the most professional way that you can. So I'd recommend if your book needs a little bit of editing is to go to one of the the major kind of outsourcing websites. You could go to maybe Fiverr.com, Upwork, or any of the other websites and hire somebody to do those things for you, how to tidy up your text and maybe edit it and, find all the mistakes and flaws before you actually take it to market. But when you do go to these sites and you're maybe considering hiring an outsourcer, just pay attention to these couple of points then. Price isn't always the first thing you should go for. If you're shopping, you're looking for the bargain basement price as well, you're going to find them all right. You're probably going to find people in, Eastern countries who are going to do your work for next to nothing. But again, you're going to get what you pay for. You're going to find maybe some of the work isn't as good as you thought it was going to be. But then there are some gems you're going to find maybe some people or maybe are just new to these sites and they're kind of building a reputation and they need some kind of work under their in their portfolio to show off to new kind of buyers later on, maybe where they can put their prices up. But for now they're keeping their prices low, and you can maybe take advantage of that and hire somebody for a low price. But just to kind of reduce the risk of hiring somebody maybe who isn't as good as they should be is to don't go for the lowest price that you can find. And then pay attention to maybe the country that you're hiring people from. If your book is in English and you're hiring somebody from maybe India, Pakistan, or the Philippines or something like that, or their language isn't where English isn't their first language, you're going to find maybe that their work isn't going to be up to par. Now, there is some other websites maybe that have kind of all these grammar tests and all these different things that, the outsourcers can sit and can have on their resume to prove that they can do the kind of work that they say they can. They've been past these tests, but then you don't really know if that person's actually sat that test or whether they've given it to somebody else to do for them, and you can't be guaranteed then that that all these things they say on their profiles are true. And then another thing to pay attention to is time zones as well too. If you're living in the US and you're hiring somebody maybe in India, maybe it's taking 12 hours to get a reply from them, or maybe 24 hours, so you're waiting maybe all this time, over and back, it can get frustrating very, very quickly. Whereas maybe you hired somebody in the US and maybe there's only a couple of hours difference in time zone, you can quickly keep in contact with each other and kind of update each other on what's happening and things like that. So be aware of where you're hiring the outsourced work from. And then the skill set then too. You're going to find a lot of people on these outsourcing websites, who are going to have maybe a resume of all these different things. Maybe they can do WordPress blogs, maybe they can write fiction, maybe they can do book covers, or maybe they can do all these different things. But as the old saying goes, if somebody who's does everything is a master at nothing. So if you're looking to hire a proofreader, I would solely look for people who only offer that service. If you're looking for somebody maybe to design a book cover, go for somebody that just is solely concentrated on book covers, because these people are doing this work every day. You're going to find that you're going to get better work back, rather than somebody who maybe is advertising maybe that they can do 10 or 15 different things and mightn't actually be an expert on any of them. So apart from outsourcing, your work like the editing and the proofreading of your book, now what else could you be doing to give yourself a better chance of making money from your writing? Another one then, as I said, is the book cover. Just because maybe you can download kind of free imaging software like GIMP or Photoshop or something like that, you probably shouldn't be using it, because you haven't got the experience of what a good book cover would actually look like. There's a reason why some of the the fonts on particular genres are used, and there's particular images that are used in particular genres and stuff like that. And if you're not aware of the kind of subtleties in what the right font is for your book cover, what's the right image and kind of the lighting and the mood and the feel of the book cover, you're going to create something that's going to be way below par. And as I said, it's going to stand out a mile off compared to the other professional covers that you're going to find on the websites. And then your book description then too, if you haven't got compelling book description and a little bit of copywriting skills where you can entice people with a couple of words to get them to download your book, well then your book sales are going to suffer from it. So if you don't know how to write a good book description, go to one of these websites and hire somebody who'll do it for you. And then, although we haven't got as far as actually publishing the book, there's a book promotion then too. You need the people who can take a book promotion and promote it to places, maybe that's websites that you don't even know about, that they could pay them a few dollars and they could have your book distributed in all these different places in 24 hours, and it'll save you a lot of time than you actually going around and trying to find and search all these places and fill out passwords and set up accounts and stuff like that, where a lot of these people can just do it all for you just at the click of a button. So once you've got all that done and you've everything packaged all together, it's up to you then, where do you want to actually go with your fiction work? You can go to the Amazon KDP store. Now, if you wanted to give Amazon exclusive rights, you can sign up to the KDP system, and it means that Amazon has exclusive rights to selling your book for 90 days. And then after 90 days, then it either comes back out or you give Amazon exclusive rights for the next 90 days. But if you didn't want to give Amazon exclusive rights and you wanted to have it in all different stores like the iTunes stores and Barnes and Nobles and all these different places, I highly recommend you have a look at Draft2Digital or Smashwords. Now, in the case of the two of these, I highly recommend Draft2Digital over Smashwords, because I find the Smashwords dashboard is a bit below par, and the software for kind of formatting the book for all the different formats for all the different e-readers and stuff like that, I find it very clunky, and it's very frustrating sometimes to get your book actually up there. So I'd highly recommend of the two to use Draft2Digital. So if you were looking to publish all over the world in as many places you could, I highly recommend using the KDP platform and Draft2Digital to do so. And all you need really, once you get to these sites, is you need your manuscript in a doc format, your book cover in a JPEG format, and your book description and keyword list. So the manuscript would have, the usual kind of laid out the way, most books would be, if you don't have just going up in a few books and just see how they're laid out. But it's basically, the first page is just your title, your author name. The second page then is copyright details, saying that you have the copyright of it and it shouldn't be photocopied and all these different things. And then the next pages after that could be chapter links there if it was a long book, and all these should be clickable to take the reader to the right place in the book. And then your book, then after that your writing, and finally at the end of the book then you should have a mention of your next book, or hopefully maybe the first chapter of your next book, so your reader goes straight from the first one and they get straight into the second one without actually leaving the book. And then you could also have your social media accounts, your website, and an offer then to join your mailing list, which I feel is the most important thing you should have at the back of your book. So once you've got all those different things, then you have your book cover probably already designed by somebody who knows what they're doing. You have a book description, and then you also need to take into account your keywords. Now, keywords, if you don't know what they are, they're basically what people type into the search boxes in the store. So, for example, if I was looking for a romance book, I would just type in romance book, and Amazon or whatever the store would give me back a list, a detailed, it would give me a list of all those books that fell into that genre, and then I could pick and choose then from what I wanted to. But not all keywords are the same. Some are more popular and some are actually more profitable. For example, if I typed in romance book, it could be just a general query I was looking up. I just wanted to see what books were in a romance book. But if I typed in maybe mail order bride romance book, because that book is kind of, it's more specific, there's a better chance that maybe somebody who's typing that keyword in, because it's a longer kind of tail keyword, that I am more intent on buying that mail order bride romance book rather than the other person maybe who typed in romance book. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I have a great I recommend there's a Google Chrome or a Firefox plugin on the page here. If you want to come over to the link, you can find it on it. But it'll show you, what are the best keywords to use and what are the best categories that are actually selling, which is very, very handy to have before you actually fill all the details in these websites. So once you've got all that done, then it's up to you then to start promoting your work. It would be great to think that once you've published your book, or you got the email back from Amazon saying congratulations, your book is live, that it would just take off. But at this moment in time, nobody in the world knows about you or knows about your book. So it's up to you to give it a push and get the ball rolling. So you can do that through things like promoting through your social media accounts and telling your followers that your book is out and, to come and get it. Trying to get in front of groups that have a love of fiction and, advertise your book in front of them. And as a popular one now, a lot of authors are doing is driving traffic to that Amazon or that page, whatever that bookstore page is. We're using Facebook ads because it's very handy to kind of niche down to the right particular people who would be interested in your kind of work. And what you can do is you can drive traffic for a couple of days to get your book high ranking in the stores, and then once that happens, then you will find some of the bookstores will take over then after that and start promoting your book, and your book will start kind of building up a bit of momentum and start selling more and more. But again, for promotion work, I recommend you should hire somebody that knows what they're doing, on maybe Fiverr.com or Upwork or places like that, because it'll save you a lot of time, and that time could be better spent where you could, start working on your next book. So on from that then, the make or break for fiction writers, and what I highly recommend is any fiction writer worth his salt, or any writer, should be building an email list. If you're going to build a home, you would put it on a strong foundation. The same if you're going to build a fiction writing business or make it as an author, you're going to need a strong foundation to put your work on. And having an email list allows you to do that. Having an email list allows you to ask for reviews, test out book ideas, promote you and your books, and much more. There's much more than just having a list of buyers on your email list. For example, if you needed reviews for a new book, just a quick email to your list could get, a number of reviews on your page straight away. Even promoting your book, it'd be easy just to contact your list and say, by the way, I've got a new book. Is there any chance you could send me tweet out in Twitter or email? So if you had maybe 100 people on your email list and maybe 40 of them suddenly promoted your book, that's 40 different people promoting your book all over the place. And then even for testing book ideas, should you do a sequel? Should you write a book on a particular character in a book? It's just a matter of sending a quick email out, taking a poll using SurveyMonkey or something like that, and find out what your readers are interested in, and you'll know where you stand and what should be the next book that you should be releasing. So anybody who is worth their salt and really wants to make money from writing fiction, long term, build an email list, building a relationship with your authors, and can making yourself, if you're emailing them regularly, you should stick out in their mind. So all of a sudden then you don't go from just being kind of an ordinary author like everybody else. Suddenly you'll become like that romance author, that steampunk author. And when they think of that genre, their mind is going to jump to you rather than any of the other authors that are selling in that genre. And then there's a chance then they'll probably sell, buy more of your books because of it. So I know I've covered a lot in this. I've kind of tried to speed through it and try and keep this video as short as I could. But I highly recommend you come over to the WriteCom blog, and it's called How to Make a Living Writing Fiction. And while you're there too, if you just scroll down to the bottom of the post here, I have a free report that I'm giving away at the moment. And it's a mixture of blog posts and tips and advice and tricks and things like that that I've picked up and used myself. And the report is called How to Sell More Books. So you can pick up a copy at writecom.com, and you can also pick up a copy if you come over to the blog post at writecom.com, How to Make a Living Writing Fiction. So my name's been Barry J. McDonald. This has been today's blog post over at writecom.com. So take care and have a great day. Bye bye.